What's up, everybody? It's Goddess Z, and I'm here with another podcast episode on holistic and spiritual as fuck. Welcome back, fam. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in for another episode. And if this is your first time dropping on this episode, you are definitely in the right place if you like topics such as how to connect with your ancestors, how to access your divine feminine codes, metaphysics, esoterics. We just kind of really go in over here, okay? And on the first and the third Friday of the month, I have a guest coming in sharing their wisdom, their expertise. And on the second and the fourth Friday of the month, I come in with my downloads, my transmissions, and different types of topics and things that we've been going through throughout the month. So this podcast drops every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere that podcasts are syndicated. Okay. So definitely make sure that you're following me in the proper places if you want to stay tuned to what we're doing and even check out some of those past episodes too. There's been some really good guests that have been on the podcast. Okay. And so I will also make sure that I have my information down in the description as well as today's guest. All right. We always got all the tea down in the description. So make sure that you're checking that out as well so you can stay in touch with myself and my guests. Okay. So today is going to be episode 79, y'all. All right. And I'm going to be sitting down with Kali Deviine, and we're going to be talking about nervous system healing and becoming the goddess within with Kali. Okay. So Kali Deviine is a transformational life coach, an entrepreneur, and the creator of Goddess Training Camp, a powerful personal development platform designed to help women heal, reclaim their confidence, and build successful lives and businesses. Known for her raw, real, big sister approach, Kali blends mindset work, shadow work, discipline, and strategy to guide women from survival mode into self mastery. Through her courses, journals, and community, she teaches women how to break toxic cycles, strengthen their identity, and step fully into their power mentally, emotionally, and financially. All right. So, in this episode, we're going to get into journaling as self remembering and witnessing your own story, nervous system dysregulation, and melanated women and its connection to spiritual work, awakening the goddess within through real self care and discipline, and moving beyond survival mode to access your purpose, healing identity, and doing the work without bypassing. All right. This conversation is going to be honest, practical, and deeply affirming for any woman ready to stop surviving and to start becoming. All right. So, this is another one of those powerful episodes that you definitely don't want to miss. You want to watch this all the way to the end. And definitely leave your comments down in the comment section. Be sure to check out that description once again because I have some amazing things that are going to be coming up for the community. So you don't want to miss that. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right. So thank you so much, Callie. I really appreciate you for agreeing to do this podcast episode with me. Like I was saying
Absolutely.
earlier before, I see you out there doing the thing, goddess. Okay. I'm a goddess, recognize a goddess when she see one.
I say.
Yes, and you're out there and you're actually showing other women how to step into their divine feminine, their embody their sovereignty, really awaken the goddess within. And I love that. So happy that you're here. I know my audience is gonna really enjoy you. And you're talking about and doing some amazing work. You're talking about applicable tools. That's what I like. So you're talking about journaling as self-remembering, healing trauma by witnessing your own story. I love that. We're definitely going to get into that nervous system dysregulation in melanated women, and the spiritual work of reclaiming our divinity, awakening the goddess within, nurturing self care and spiritual growth, and finding purpose beyond survival mode. Oh, yes, y'all. This is all my stuff right here. I love it. So, yeah, just talk to us. Tell us how this journey got started for you. Like, how did you get on this path to begin to help other women, other melanated women?
Absolutely. So this all pretty much started based off of my life experiences. So, of course, I've had my fair share of traumas and childhood wounds and stuff that I've had to deal with. I have father wounds, mother wounds. Like, I've I've been stuck in toxic relationships, and I've had low self worth, low self confidence, low self esteem, all of that. And over the years, it just built up because I did not know how to process those emotions, and they would just accumulate until it developed into chronic depression, chronic depression, anxiety, and I was wondering why I'm just feeling so bad. Like why I shouldn't be feeling this way. So I think that I went through like a divine intervention like 5, 6 years ago, where universe just, they knew that I was not going to separate myself from a toxic relationship, so they did it for me. They stepped in and intervened and separated me. And when that happened, that is when my healing started to begin. Really, I had space to reflect with myself. Like I had space to, just collect my thoughts and process some emotions that I just been burying and carrying for years. So the first thing that I started to do was just watching YouTube videos, other spiritual people, spiritual women, melanated women, and they kind of led me down this path. Um, I was introduced to tarot, oracle cards. Like I was always into like crystals and stuff like that, but um, I started to develop a connection with like just the spiritual realm, like my inner self, just connecting with God through myself, right? So that eventually led me to just writing. Just I'm writing like my experiences, my emotions, things that have hurt me in the past, and just getting that all out on paper turned into something more therapeutic than I could ever imagine. I tried therapy. I tried speaking to other people, but it, they could never really relate to my plight, my story, because they didn't look like me, right?
Mhm.
So I had to figure out a way to heal on my own in a way that was productive for my self development and growth. And that's where Goddess Training Camp started. Like, first, it was just all about me. And then I realized how much it has helped me, just to start to focus on self love, like just loving myself more and valuing myself more. That's just kind of that's where it started me on the path.
I love it, and that's the journey, ain't it? That's the journey of a healer. Like we have to heal
Absolutely,
our stuff first, and we
absolutely,
don't know that while we're going through it. We just know
absolutely.
why
Yep.
does this hurt, and I just want to stop feeling like this,
Hmm.
and then you start seeking, and it helps you to reach out for something. And I love that, and I love how you talked about the fact that representation does matter because we talked about that before we got started. It absolutely does, because not everybody has access to therapy, and not everybody has access to someone that looks like them. Sometimes people just got to get whatever they insurance will get, and
Exactly.
then that may not really be getting and digging deep because you know how we are. We're not finna sit there and tell everybody everything. If we don't trust you,
Exactly. Uh-huh.
we're not even healing really, So,
Right.
so
Hmm.
so I love that you talked about that. And then you also talk about something I talk about a lot too, which is there is a way that we can heal. Um, and you started seeking people that look like you. And then you became that. You became her, And I think that's so important because as healers, like when people are coming to you got to be able to relate. You got to be able to relate. So I love
Absolutely.
that. So when you started, you said you were journaling. Did you ever take that journaling like out to like any other like authorship or something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Over the years, I created multiple journals. I have them right here. I can
Yeah,
show
show it.
you really quick. So I have 4 books now that I created. The first one is just a straight up blank journal where you can just write your own thoughts. It's a little bit like it gives you kind of a foundation of what you can write about, but it's a blank journal. I call it the living memoir of a goddess, where it's just a living um, documentation of your experiences. You can write about whatever you want to write about, but you always have something to go back to look on to see your journey and see your growth. And then after that, like I was journaling in my own journals. I have a whole collection of my own journals that I made filled up. And then after that, I created a productivity planner that helped me kind of just like reclaim my time and just get on a routine and have some structure and know, put some goals in place and just know what I want to do in my life and where I want to go and what I want to do, every day, or what I have to move towards to achieve my goals. So this is my Goddess Productivity Planner. It also has a guided journal in the back, so you could just, it's a planner and a journal in the back. I'm big on journaling. Like that is my whole basis, my whole foundation, the Goddess Training Camp. Um, After that, I created a guided journal where it has over 67 lessons about just different things that women may experience like us that we go through, like being vulnerable or dealing with guilt or just cultivating self-confidence, stuff like that. So I have lessons on about 67 lessons in this book about different things that some things that we need to heal through. It's called the
Mhm.
Goddess Playbook, and it's a guided journal. So you just go through the lessons, 67 lessons, and you just write what is on your mind. You write what comes up for you when you read the lessons, and I found that to be healing for me as well. And then finally, I have a 14-year-old, and I created this book. This is my last book. It's called Lessons for the Young Goddess. I have a 14-year-old, and when I look back on my life, I'm like, I really wish that there was someone in my corner that guided me in the right direction, so I didn't have to make so many mistakes on my own.
Mhm.
That would have avoided a lot of pain for me, a lot of distraction, a lot of whole bunch of things that I didn't have to experience if I had someone mentoring me and guiding me. So I created this book for young women, um, teaching them just about life, because there's not a lot of positive representation in social media and stuff these days. Um, if you see, you can just go on social media and see the behavior of women in our community, young women, right? They don't have a lot of role models teaching them, just the right direction to go. So I created this last book. It's also a guided journal with lessons in it as well. But it's more aimed for younger people before they start to experience the hardships of life, like before they start to make those bad decisions. It's kind of like a guide, like a mentorship, like a big sis. I consider myself like a big sis type of influence in younger people's lives.
I love that. I love that. That's so amazing. So that journaling went really far for you, and it is healing,
Hmm.
because you're more inclined to write more when it's just you and you
Hmm.
yourself, your ancestors, God, the universe, and then you can get it out. You can look at it, and it's a release at the same time.
Hmm. It's
So I
absolutely.
love that, and I love the fact that you have the last one you did for the young ladies, because it is
Hmm.
important. And you said you have a 14-year-old daughter. I have my babies young too, and they're grown now, barely. Barely grown, but it matters, that when you instill that stuff in them, even when it seems like they're not paying attention or they tired of hearing you talking about it, it really comes back around, because I'm
Hmm.
watching that with my girls now. And one of them's
Hmm.
like big into astrology, and she's always talking
Hmm.
about the moon and what's going on, and like, she knows the
I love
astrology better than I do.
that.
And then the other one was like, "Mom, I need a reading if I want to get this job." Like, so she's into the divination, and she's always been into
Hmm.
that. And I just love to watch that, because like you said,
Hmm.
if I had somebody, because I sure didn't, we were the cycle breakers.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have gotten into so much stuff. But I literally was going through this with my ancestors not too long ago, and they were like, "No, your life had to be just like
Yeah,
that."
I
And
figured that out too. Yeah.
it was like it had to be just like that, and we knew
Hmm.
you could survive, so you still
Hmm.
here, But I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, but so they've got that, and that's the beautiful
Hmm.
thing about it. And you got a journal, like you said, to be big sis,
Hmm.
because some of them may not have mamas that's on that. So I
Right.
think that's
Right. Right.
beautiful. I love it. So something else that you help women with is trauma and narrative reclamation. Like you said, you went through a lot of trauma of your own. How do you help women in the goddess training camp with that?
So, there's different phases that I have within Goddess Training Camp, and when you first look at like the social media platform, you'll just kind of get a kind of surface level vibe where it's like it appears to be just like that self love, positive energy, but it's really deeper than that. It's really, I'm trying to help women just remember who they are, just remember their divinity before survival mode kicked in, before all the false narratives, all everything that they learned on social media of who to be. I try to help them to strip away all of that and identify who they are at the bare basics, right? Help them reconnect to their true authentic self. Um, and I do that mostly through the journaling. And then after that, after people start to heal on their own, I I have a phase two where we do retreats. So I'm currently phasing working on doing a national kind of tour around a couple different states where we're just doing retreats, goddess retreats. We just have women come together and we heal together, we
Mhm.
build together, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable in the space together. Um, and then finally, after all of that healing and connecting is said and done, I am hoping to roll out a phase three called Goddess Society, where all of us healers can now go out into the world and build a brand on our healing, just like I'm doing, just like you're doing. But together as a network, as a community, we're uplifting each other, we're building with each other, we're going out and doing events and venues with each other. So it's a whole process. Like you come through, you need to heal. I got you. We're gonna heal together. We do retreats. We build together. We learn together. We grow our spirituality together. And then finally, we're going to go out and help other women together by doing the same things.
I love that. So do you think like where does your guidance come from? Does it come from probably a combination of all this, but does it come from ancestors? Does it come from the universe? Does it come to from divine source? Does it come from intuition? Like where do you
I
get this
like to
divine?
think, so I like to think what I feel is that we all have a whole team of like spiritual forces around us. Some are ancestors. I feel like my grandmother is with me all the time. Um, Sometimes I feel like it could be like a higher version of myself just guiding me to where I need to go to in order to uplift other people. Um, and it could be other entities, but it's just a spiritual team. I think we have just a spiritual team around us. I don't know for sure who or what that spiritual team consists of, but I know that I'm definitely guided by a higher force.
I love that. And that's a perfect answer because it's true. Like
Hmm.
some of them are coming in and out. They're not with you the whole time. Some of them are in
Hmm.
for certain phases and lessons and things like that. So yeah, I love that. So all you know is you're being guided and
Hmm.
that they watching
Absolutely.
over you. I love that. So yeah, so you talked about something else when you were talking about your healing was you were saying how you had like anxiety and stuff like that and depression and how you was just getting sicker and sicker through these
Hmm.
things. So a lot of times we talk about spiritual awakening, but a lot of times we don't talk as much about the nervous system
Hmm.
regulating that. It's starting to pop out, but it's getting
Hmm.
more
Finally.
trendy. You know how that goes,
Hmm.
So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I just recently even I recognize this pattern in other people before I recognize it within myself, that I had my nervous system was all out of balance. A lot of us women, we are just emotional beings, period. So when we experience heavy emotions or even traumatic emotions and we don't know how to process it, we often just put it like bottle it up within, right? And that wreaks havoc on our nervous system. We don't even know it. But you heard this term, crash out, stuff like that. When women get so angry, they crash out and they just lose all control. They lose all control. They snap. They start yelling and screaming. And they can't control their emotions. That's an unregulated nervous system.
Mhm.
That's somebody that does not have the ability to regulate their emotions in the time that something triggering is happening. So I like to um I like to address that like within the first phase of goddess training camp. I'm like, not everything needs a reaction. Sometimes you need to focus on what is triggering you, not who it is, what it is, and why you're triggered. You know what I mean? And then think about before reacting, just think about why you may be triggered, and then allow yourself to just breathe and use logic before uh, letting your emotions get the best of you. So, I just see so much reckless behavior on social media within our community, and it's normalized now. It's like
Mhm.
accepted. People aren't holding other women accountable for their negative behavior, but nobody really knows how to control it because nobody is addressing or taking accountability for their own healing.
That's right. And that's like literally like what you just said. The last part is there's healing that's necessary in order to have that nervous system at a consistent state of being regulated. And
Mm-hmm.
like one of the first things I picked up about you is you're very calm. Your energy is calm. My energy feels okay around your energy because when you're sensitive, like you said, you could pick it up in other people very easily, and it's like sometimes I just want to be away from people because they don't know,
Hmm.
But your energy, I was like, okay, she's calm, she's zenned out, and to me, that's a sign of someone who has done some deep inner healing. They're at peace with themselves. They know peace. You know what I'm saying? They know how to sit with peace and be okay by themselves. That takes an immense amount of healing. You can't fake that. That's
Hmm.
the kind of stuff I like pay attention to and tap into. So, I think that's very important. Like you said, people crashing out all over the place. And for what? Like, that's
Hmm.
an immense amount of energy expended that you should be conserving for other things, ladies, but they don't know, like you said. And
Hmm.
and I think that's where you come into play, kind of being like big sis, because they need to see more of that, I think.
Hmm.
So yeah, I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
And that's spiritual work and it's healing work, it really is. So you call yourself a goddess. This is exciting for me because I call myself a goddess. I've been calling myself a goddess. So when did that come about for you? Like, what does that mean to you?
Okay, so Goddess Training Camp. That came after I started to develop my connection with spirit. So a little bit years, like couple years, 2 or 3 years after I just started the whole journaling process and healing myself, I started connecting with spirit, and I recognized that within us, God is within us, right? Well, whoever we call the Most High, the Creator. God is within us. We are a representation of God. We are each individual, we are fragments of a whole of source creation, right? So we are representation, we are feminine representations of God. So it's only right to call us a goddess because we are a representation of the Most High. And that's how we need to carry ourselves. That's how we need to interact like we are a representation of the Most High God, a feminine, the feminine representation.
Absolutely, because the mother
Hmm.
is where everything came out of anyway. So,
Absolutely.
but that's
Yep.
a whole nother episode. But you know what? I love that. That's the same thing I say too. I think I did a video. It was a long time ago, and I was talking about the me calling myself a goddess. That's responsibility.
Hmm.
That means that I have to be accountable for my actions. I have
Hmm.
to be moving, thinking, acting, being a certain way, to a higher standard and
Hmm.
accountable for myself because I know more. I'm more conscious.
Hmm.
And like you said, I'm that divine expression of source energy. So that's work. Like,
Hmm.
it's not
Absolutely.
like a cute trending thing, but but it does, I don't know. I've been doing it for so long now that it's just a way of life. So I love that. And that's very similar to my interpretation of that as well. So something else I noticed was your name, Kali Divine. Now I know
Hmm.
where that came from. I want to know how you came up with that one.
Now this one is weird because this came, I would say, 12 or 13 years ago, before I was even into this spiritual thing. Um, I was sitting in my house just on my computer. I was like listening to music. At the time I used to make music, and I just had this, I don't know what it's called, like a remembrance, a vision, or download. And Kali entered my mind. So then I'm like, okay, who is this Kali? What is it? And then I'm doing my research. I'm like, okay, she's a goddess of the Indian pantheon, right? But then I'm looking, she's the dark mother. She's a nurturer, but she's also a fierce warrior. So she's protective. And as I didn't even adopt that at the time when I first learned about Kali. But then as I started to look at how my life is, it's very similar to her story. I am a mother as well. I have 4 children. So that makes me a nurturer, that makes me a protector. Um, but at the same time, I feel like I'm able to transmute dark energies and make them into something positive. So you know how the story, she's able to kill demons, cut their heads off. You know, that's kind of the same representation. I transmute dark energy and make it into light. So it was only fitting, you know, to adopt that name because I feel like I embody that energy.
Yeah. The mother of chaos. Yeah, that's a powerful one. You picked a powerful one. That's also responsibility. But you
It
did it
is.
already. Like you said, you slayed some demons with inside of yourself.
Absolutely.
You
Hmm.
faced some dragons. You know, you did lots of dark nights of the soul, shadow work, and you came
Hmm.
out on the other side raising babies
Hmm.
and teaching them, you know. So that's badass. You got to be like a warrior goddess to do that, you know,
Hmm.
and people don't understand that. So I love that. And you talked a little bit about in the beginning and all throughout this really going from survival mode into
Yeah.
your divine identity.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think happens? This is just kind of like an off script question, but what do you think
Hmm.
happens to our sense of divinity when we've been stuck in survival mode? I'm sure you probably see this a lot with the women that you work with, but what do you think happens to our divinity when we've been stuck in survival mode for so long?
And I've been through it myself. It's just non-existent. It's shadowed by distraction. It's shadowed by just your need to survive the next day. You know what I mean? You have no time to sit and just sit with yourself and reflect on how you're feeling and your mental state. You have no time to do that when you're thinking about, you know, when you're working 9 to 5. Some people are working even more than that just to pay the bills and keep a roof over their head and have food to eat. Um, the distractions keep us from our divinity, and I believe that that is on purpose. Obviously, that's on purpose. Because once the melanated woman recognizes her power, then it's a lot that we can do once we recognize our divinity. So the system is designed to keep us distracted so that we have no clue of who we are.
That's right.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. And we forget, you know, that's the thing.
Mhm.
We get so far pulled away from that. And everything's set up like that. When you think about
Mhm.
it, there's nothing that's pushing you towards, hey, go to nature, you know, do
Mhm.
self care, journal, you know, pray,
Mhm.
whatever it is that you do. There's nothing to push us to that. Everything is go work, be entertained, sleep, do
Mhm.
it again. And
Mhm.
when you think about that, if a person actually takes the time to do it, because you got to be conscious even for a split second to do it, that is like, you know, a robot. It's like not an
Mhm.
actual soul, you know what I'm saying? And a spirit
Yep.
having a human experience. And so I love that, you know. And so I know that for us, like what you described, some people working more jobs, you know, somebody sometimes being single mothers. That's a lot of our story. That's very common for us as melanated women. It doesn't take away our power, but it's like what you talked about earlier. That's when representation matter
Mhm.
because we just can't talk about this stuff with
Mhm.
Becky. Becky gonna be looking all judgmental and whatnot. Like she gonna be like, "Well, where's the
Mhm.
father at?" You know,
Mhm.
saying the wrong stuff. You know, so yeah. So I love to know that you're there, doing that. You know, and that you have a sisterhood circle, um, and you're showing these women how to survival because and that's where we're at too. I truly believe
Mhm.
that in the age of Aquarius and the time that we're living in with the veil being lifted is more and more people we have access to this now, but are people looking for us? That I do
Mhm.
know. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's a fact. So that's what's up. So talk about self-care a little bit. I'm sure that was a part of the journey once you got past the hard part. Talk
Mhm.
to me about your self-care and how that helped you to regulate as well.
Yeah. So like moving from survival mode, I realized that I was really stuck in my masculine energy. Just
Mm,
because that's what it is. Survival mode is primarily masculine because you got to provide for yourself. You got to keep yourself safe, right? So I realized that I was so far drawn from my divine feminine energy, that I started to intentionally find things that calmed my nervous system, right? So not only, journaling was a big thing for me, but getting out in nature. I used to take my kids to this wooded area where they had like a pond or like a river, a stream, and they would have ducks there, and we would just go feed the ducks for a day, right? And that's very calming, that's very grounding. That helped me connect to nature and to just the earth, right? And I would just go home feeling refreshed. And I noticed that I like this feeling, when I don't have to be thinking about work, when I'm not, thinking about how I'm going to pay these bills, um, when I have just that time to just be free. That's really true divine femininity when you just have time to create. And then Goddess Training Camp was created. Like I found a lot of um, release when I was able to create. Just create. Like as you see, I have 4 books that helped me tap into just the feminine aspect of myself because I'm just able to put stuff out there freely and not be worried about when I have to clock into my job, stuff like that.
I get it.
Stuff like that. It's not all about bubble baths and stuff like that. It's really about finding things that you like just to calm your nervous system, just to make you feel just uh less stressed, just to, so I mean, of course, I love the bubble baths too. I love getting my nails done, like get my hair done
Right.
too. But it's not all about that. Just
Yeah.
about finding things, that will just helps your mental, help you de-stress and unwind.
Yep. I love that. And it's whatever it is to you. That's why somebody
Mm-hmm.
else was on the podcast and they were talking about that, and she brought up some things that, like, just buying some soap, like, I'm addicted to Bath and Body Works. What can I say?
Mm.
And that's a thing for me. I'm addicted to Bath and Body Works. I love my smell goody stuff,
Me
and I
too.
love
Mm-hmm.
I like panties. Like that's my thing. Just little stuff for me. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said. Now it's a little different for me though because my girls are big now. So when they were little, it's like certain stuff I couldn't do, because like you described, I didn't have the money to do it like that. I had to make sure that they were taken care of, and I sacrificed, and that just is what it is. So little things like that I like, or a cup of tea, like you said, just having a cup of tea. That's like a whole ritual in itself to me. That's
Mm-hmm.
just my time. um, I'm getting back into reading books again.
Mm-hmm. So, yep.
I love
Mm-hmm.
that. I was like, I used to do that. But then, like you said, you get
Mm-hmm.
so damn busy. Who got time to sit there and read a book,
Right.
with all this electronics in your face to distract
Mm-hmm.
you? But I love that. And then meditation, that's my thing. Hiking, that's something I've been doing with people who look like us, and
Yes.
I love that. And just getting out there and being in nature, it's just whatever it is, it could be
Mm-hmm.
taking a nap.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely. Yep.
I'm a firm
Nap is
believer in my naps.
good.
Like my great grandmother used to always say, you got to get your beauty rest. And so I live
Mm-hmm.
by that. So I love that, but I think it's all interconnected, like you're talking about, and it's all a part of the healing process too, because and regulating your nervous system. So yeah, self-care. I love that. Um so let's talk about awakening the goddess within. Like what does that look like? Like walk us on a journey of getting there and then being there. Like what does it look like daily?
Well, you might have to hit a rock bottom, like Dark Night of the Soul. I've been there, where you just like you have nowhere else to turn, no one to turn to, so you got to turn within yourself, right?
Mhm.
And it's a low place, it's a lonely place, because you really don't have anybody that you can relate to or be vulnerable around. So it's gonna hurt. It's painful. Lonely being alone is not fun.
No, it's
Um,
not.
but it's something that's I would think that we all have to experience in order to just kind of level up, because you have to be alone or be comfortable being alone with yourself, being alone with getting to know who you are, the good, bad, and the ugly. Like the shadow work counts, you know. So it's going to be a period where you're just not going to be happy for a while, but you have to show up for yourself. You have to show up and do the work for yourself consistently, even when you don't feel like it, even on those days that you just feel like curling up in a ball and staying in the bed all day. You have to show up, and eventually you'll start to feel lighter. Like as you shed those emotions and that trauma and that pain, you'll start to feel a release. Like you'll start to feel better. And I'm only speaking from my experience. Um, you even start to look different. Like you start to glow a little bit more. You know, when you release all that pain that you've been burying in, all them emotions. And then it goes from there. As you start to feel better, then you'll start to find other things that you like get it developing your spirituality. I was very heavily into tarot cards. So I started doing my own tarot readings. And I'm like
Mhm.
getting these confirmations and writing them down. I'm like, this is exciting because I'm now communicating with spirit, right? That's exciting. So and then it just goes from there. And you fine tune those spiritual gifts that you have, right? And then you just keep on elevating. Like you just never stop elevating. You really can't there's no ending to your elevation, right? You can always find something that will help you elevate higher. So as you start to feel better, you just, you know, I can't even, and I'm not perfect. Literally, like I still have to cry in the shower sometimes because I'm overwhelmed because life is life and it's going to throw you some curveballs sometimes. But you just have to know how to deal with it. And after you do that, after you get that little release, like it's just, I'm at so much peace right now. I really, the good and the bad. Even if like I have a bad day, I'm still, it doesn't ruin my world. You know what I mean? So it's just a progression. Like it's going to start off lonely, but after a while, you'll start to feel better. You start to feel better. You start to feel more comfortable being alone. But then you'll start attracting the right people into your life. You'll stop attracting those negative, toxic, energies, and it'll just get better. That's all. That's really the only way that I could explain it.
I love that. And I think that's very important too. Like you said, you'll stop in the beginning, you will be lonely. Like, ain't nobody doing this. That's what it's
Hmm.
gonna seem like. In the beginning, it's gonna be like, why
Hmm.
ain't nobody doing this but me? But that's why it's good that you have the community, because they can see people in different phases and people who've made it out. And I love that too, because and I love when people get on here and tell the truth and not act like it's, it's wonderful. Like, it's just like roses. Depending on what you have been through, with us having so much trauma stored in our DNA, the shit is gonna hurt. Like just say what it is. So I love that you talked about that. You talked about being at peace within yourself, because that is the ultimate goal. And that was the other thing I was going to say too, is when you talked about the divination and how you started doing that for yourself on a daily basis. Like, that is real, because I've been doing that now for a minute now, actually. And I had tarot cards like way in the beginning, and I used to do it here and there, get a reading every now and then, but maybe since, I don't know, I want to say like maybe June of last year. Like June of last year, I started activating some divine feminine codes and stuff like that. But I had to get up in there. I had some stuff going on. I was like, listen, I got to get up in these cards. And I've been doing that every day
Hmm.
since then. And the development has been so real. And my, one of the things my ancestors told me was, is they were like, in different healing circles, high priestesses, this is what they do. They come together in sister circles, they divination, somebody talks about a dream, and then this is how they do things. So they're like, you're just doing what you would be doing, and what you know to do. Because at first I was like, well, should I be doing it all the time? Shouldn't I be using my intuition? Like, and it was like, no, because I get so much deeper understanding out of it. And I had some stuff going on at work where They just couldn't figure out how I know everything. I think it's so funny. I be doing everything. I'm always way ahead of them. I know who talk about me, what they trying to do. Like they just cannot, and they just keep trying, and they just can't. And I just be beating them at every turn and corner, and I just love that. And I just that's because of the divination. So I love that you doing that for yourself. Keep doing it because it's just going to strengthen your intuition. It's going to strengthen your own connection with your spirit team too. So definitely keep that up. Well, Callie, it has been a joy having you on this episode. I know
My
my
pleasure.
audience is gonna love you. So, tell us again, like how you help women with the Goddess Training Camp, how they can connect with you, like where you are on social media, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so Goddess Training Camp is all about self remembrance through healing, through self awakening, through spiritual reconnection, and then community building and just collective elevation and networking together. So that's pretty much what it all encompasses. So, whatever level that you are on, we hold a space for you. Um, and on social media, it's Scottish Training Camp on everything pretty much. I need to get back into doing my YouTube videos, so that's lacking right now. But everywhere else, I'm pretty much active: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Lemonade, uh, X, all of
You're
those
pretty out there.
platforms. Yeah,
That'll keep you busy, them. That's why
it
throwing
does. Oh
YouTube
my
on there is like a
goodness.
whole nother beast right there. I get
Yeah.
it. Well, that's what's up. And so, like, what's the age demographic of the ladies in your camp?
So mostly young adults. So I'm focused mostly around 22 to about 35. I think after
So,
35, you should kind of have a basic understanding of where your life is going and who you are. But
well, not necessarily, girl.
yeah, not necessarily. You're
You
right.
rolling
We have some
into
stragglers.
you rolling into yeah, OG millennials and stuff, and which I am. I'm an OG millennial. So,
Me
but
too. Me too.
no, yeah. I mean, I feel you. And I work with ladies that are about the ones that really seem to gravitate towards me the most are the ones that you stop at. That's so like
Really?
35 up to about 45. After that,
Oh, okay.
we start rolling into Gen X, and then they just
Hmm.
a whole nother beast, you know.
Yeah.
Like they a whole nother beast, you know. My brother and sister were Gen X's, so I'm like, I get it, but yeah, usually that kind of that makes sense. So I'm glad to hear that though, especially when you said you starting at 22. That's when I started my journey. I started my journey at 23, so that's
Hmm.
beautiful. And I love that because they need somebody like where that they're gonna look up to you as big sis instead of auntie, you know.
Hmm.
So that's what's up.
Hmm.
And so I love that. And then it was something else I was gonna say before I let you go, but yeah, you're all over social media. Y'all know what I do. I'm gonna have her information down in the description. I'm gonna have her books down there, all the places you can reach her. Oh yeah, that's it. The retreats. Tell us about the retreats a little bit, like some of the places you've been and where you plan on going.
Okay, so far I've only been in my hometown, but I'm planning on expanding this year because I have a partner that I'm working with. But we are planning, of course, to continue in the tri-state area, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Of course, we got to roll to Atlanta. Texas is a destination, and that those are the primary ones that I know of for sure right now: Atlanta, Texas, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So, but if anybody is, interested in creating that space, then, I am definitely down to facilitate it. Just reach out.
That's what's up. I love that. And I think that's so much when we come together like that, it's much deeper, we're
Hmm.
able to really heal deeper. So thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. And I've enjoyed this episode. I know my audience is gonna enjoy this as well. So yeah, y'all know what to do. Like I said, all that information is gonna be in the description. Make sure you follow her, look her up on all those places. And that is it, y'all. Until the next
Hmm.
episode. Peace.
Peace.